I'm Julie Crane. I'm the programs manager here at the Mustard Seed. Welcome to our community forum. Today we're talking about family caregiver support, and we have Kelsey Osaturov. Did I get that right, Kelsey? Great. So thank you for joining us. Kelsey is a case manager supervisor with Pierce County Aging and Disability Resources in the Family Caregiver Support Program. And Kelsey has been working for families caring for their loved ones for the last 12 years. And today she's going to be talking about family caregiver support. So thank you for being here, Kelsey, and take it away.
Thank you so much, Julie, and thank you all for coming today. I'm really excited at the opportunity to speak with all of you about the Family Caregiver Support Program and the Pierce County Aging and Disability Resource Center. I know it's sometimes difficult to find support out in the Key Peninsula, but I really hope that this presentation gives you a lot of ideas of ways to meet the needs of your loved ones and yourself, because it can be difficult. And we're going to talk about a couple different things and different ways you can think about your caregiving journey, or if you're receiving care, how your caregiver feels, and maybe just kind of have some reflection on where you are in this very broad journey of caregiving. No, I can't change my screen. Oops, there we go. Okay. So first I want to talk about the Aging and Disability Resource Center. The phone number to connect with us is 253-798-4600. And our resource center has live staff that answer the phones Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. And these are case managers who are trained to answer most questions and provide resources in the community that may be able to meet your needs. They're really good at listening to your specific scenario, trying to match what's going to work for you. If they're not able to really assist you on the phone, or there's just a lot more to your situation that you need a little bit more guidance or one-on-one assistance from us, we do have case managers, we call them general case managers, or the family caregiver support case managers, who can come out, talk with you about what the different options are, different resources are available, and we can help connect you with those resources. We realize how difficult sometimes the system is to navigate. There's so many different options, there's different rules and regulations, and it's really hard to know where to start. And we really want to be that first call that you make, because it's probably going to save you a lot of time. There used to be just one team where half of us did the family caregiver support program, the other half was doing the rest of the information and assistance. But we've just grown so much, so we are actually two different teams, but we work really well together and try to help our community and those in need. The Family Caregiver Support Program, that's one of the programs that I supervise. The case managers support the caregiver and help find ways to reduce the stress and burdens of that caregiver. So if you are a caregiver, you're used to having, a lot of the appointments and conversation and topics that you're thinking about all directed at that person you're caring for. And we try to kind of flip that around a little bit and kind of give you the platform to talk about what your needs are, what your challenges are, so that we can talk about what's needed for you to keep doing what you're doing and caring for the person that you love. And that's sometimes hard for people because they want to talk about their family member or the person they care about, but we really try to focus on you as the caregiver. The goal of the program is to delay the need for expensive long-term care services. The different programs that are available, sometimes they're for pretty low income or people who have spent a lot of their resources. And our program's pretty generous as far as the income and the resource guidelines go. And people don't want to have to spend all their money receiving support, because it feels difficult. That's a really difficult choice to make. We help support the care receiver, so that's the person who's receiving care, to maintain care services in their own home, because the alternative is an institution, and that's not something we want to resort to if we have to. Most people want to live their remaining years at home where they're comfortable and they feel safe, and the supports that we provide contribute towards that goal. We provide caregiver support during their journey of caring for a loved one. And sometimes we meet people really late in their journey and they're very burned out. We would love to start working with people sooner so that we can help you ease into the transition when things do get really difficult. So keep that in mind. So who is a caregiver? We have some screening tools that we talk about when you meet with somebody, to talk about your burden and your stress, your depression, how you're feeling overall. But as a caregiver, someone who qualifies is someone who's providing unpaid support to a loved one. It could be very simple, as someone who just does grocery shopping, filling medication boxes, transportation, some more physical care like bathing, or you're just kind of coming in and doing some of the housework that's getting hard for them. We definitely consider all of that caregiving. We define the word family in many different ways. We take care of people who are taking care of spouses, adult children, parents, friends, neighbors, siblings. It's amazing how people come together to support each other, and sometimes because they want to, or sometimes out of obligation. And we really meet people where they are on all of those different things. So I wanted to talk about different aspects of caregiving, the good and the bad, because it really contributes towards that conversation that we're having with people when they're thinking about accessing services and supports. Some people, they don't find joy in it anymore. It used to be something they found a lot of value in, and it's no longer that, and that's okay. It's a very honest thing to say, and we appreciate you giving us that feedback. And we're trying to find ways to give that back to you. But caregiving, it creates connections to each other, intergenerations, or maybe family that hasn't spent a lot of time together in a long time. It's a way to reconnect. It gives you a sense of value and accomplishment. If that person wants to stay at home and you are the contributing factor to that, that's fantastic. And we really respect you for that. The time you spend together is more valuable. We know life is very precious, and those remaining years, those go fast, and they're not always the most, glamorous, but there's still a lot of time to spend together. And it's an opportunity to learn new skills. I had a husband and wife, and the husband was taking care of his wife, and he had never cooked a meal for her in the 50 plus years that they had been married. And he was bound and determined to learn how to make at least like a spaghetti meal for her. And he was so excited when he got to do that. And it just brought him so much joy to give back to her after so many years of her doing that for him. And unfortunately, too, there's a lot of challenges, and that seems to be the real talking points as far as the conversations we have with the caregivers that call in. There's a change in the condition, or there's just something that's happened where they just feel like maybe this is not something they can continue doing. But there's a lot of list here, but the first one I want to highlight is changes in your relationship. What's changed, better or worse? Maybe you've been husband and wife for 30 plus years, and now you don't feel like that connection is the same. That's okay. It's just kind of talking about the differences and how things change over time. Stress, burden, and depression, trying to juggle everything all at once. It's really hard to multitask. It's nearly impossible, and that breaks people down over time. The fear of decline. What happens if they need more from me? What happens next? What's the next phase that we're going to enter? And that unknown of the future is really hard to it's hard to block it out of your mind, no matter what anyone tells you. Family dynamics. Are you the only one who can be here? Do you have siblings or other family members who are far away or busy or have their own lives? Our society demands a lot from all of us, and that extra addition of caring for a loved one is really hard to fit in with so many other things. The loss of function of your loved one, do they find purpose in daily activities? If every day is spent really focusing on, cleaning up, bathing, getting dressed, is there any fun? Are you guys doing anything fun? You'd be surprised how much that gives back, and kind of, it doesn't put so much focus on the caregiving task itself. A decline in cognitive function, how fast is that happening? Do you find that they're rapidly deteriorating, and how do you deal with that? And what do you do? The expectation to maintain care within the family and not bring anyone else in to help. My grandmother was a perfect example. She didn't want anybody else to come in except for us, even though she didn't listen to us. It was really hard to get her to think about other ways that she could meet her needs at home. Less time spent doing things you want to do. That's an important way to think about what makes you you. Maybe it's playing golf or going for a walk or seeing your grandkids. I mean, those are all things that, of course, everybody wants to spend time doing, but is there enough time at this point to do it? Which leads to your own loss of health and well-being. And that's where it becomes really difficult to support both of you when your own health is in jeopardy. Okay, so caregiving changes lives, and it does in so many ways for both you and the person you're caring for. It's really hard to let go of some things, and I'm just putting these questions out there just for you to start thinking about ways either that you can redefine the situation or rethink some of the tasks. But the first thing I always like to ask our clients is what can they still do? What can they still fold laundry? Can they still put the dishes away? Give them tasks, give them purpose. It's a heroic task to take on this caregiving role. And if there's a way that you can share the responsibility, that's fantastic. How do you give the person you care for some autonomy? Is it, being able to leave for a few hours and letting them be on their own? And that's a safety issue, that not everybody can just think about, but are you overreacting or over controlling about a situation that maybe they would be just fine in their chair for a few hours? Are you seeing your doctor regularly? I know that that's really hard to do when you can't leave someone alone, but it's really important for you to put that self-care really at the forefront. And are you spend time doing things that make you feel like you? Again, I mentioned that before, but I think it's really important that that you continue to think of yourself as an individual as well. Okay, so we're going to get into, excuse me, we're going to get into some specific services and resources that our program provides. A lot of that before it was talking about, how we can help people identify other supports outside of our program or ways to kind of manage the situation. But here's a list of things that we offer with our program. We offer some caregiving supplies. Some of it's pretty expensive, gloves, wipes, incontinence supplies, things that aren't covered by your insurance that you're having to pay out of pocket for. We've bought in some pretty clever things with the funds that we have. Some transport chairs, things that can just really ease some of the burden. It's pretty simple for us to order, and we usually just have it shipped to your home. Once you start working with us and we kind of establish a relationship, we do that. So that's something that a lot of our clients utilize. We pay for the monthly cost for emergency pendants, so ones that people wear in case they fall, and they can access emergency services if they do. We have a safety bracelet, which is for people who tend to wander. They have information for, anyone who finds them to call. We don't do a lot of these because that's just a huge risk as far as letting people wander and thinking that that's a safe plan. But this is kind of worst case scenario if they find themselves somewhere they shouldn't be. We do caregiver training and education. Some of this we do work with our providers on the outside, some with Good Samaritan and some other providers. And some we actually do in-house. We do have some training that we put on as Pierce County employees, and we get a lot of good response from that as well. We also have, I forgot to put this in the presentation, but we also have an online portal now that everyone in Pierce County can have access to, which is called TrueAlta. And they have specific videos. It's kind of like a tailored YouTube channel to where you can find specific things about Parkinson's disease or dementia or how to bathe someone safely. It's really meant to be a dictionary and a resource for people to look up how to perform certain caregiving tasks, because there's no training manual, right? When you start caring for a loved one, it's really just here you go. You kind of got to figure things out. And this is a way that you can maybe get some ideas about how to keep them safe if you're working on transfers, keep yourself safe and from being injured. And so that's a really great resource that we've started utilizing for people who can access, internet and know how to navigate the web. We do authorize caregiving counseling, and that's to help people really talk through some of the emotional and mental health issues that they're having in regards to their counseling. A lot of it is it's almost pre-grief. They're grieving the loss of their loved one. They're grieving the loss of their life, and just the overwhelming just sadness that they have towards their loved one declining, and that is something that we all experience at one point, regardless if we're providing care or not. We do provide dementia training and education. That is both something we do in-house, and we have a provider that comes out and talks with you about dementia, because dementia is one of those diseases that it affects everyone differently, and there's not really a one-size-fits-all way to approach it. It's really specialized in knowing how that person's going to react to certain things, and how we as caregivers have to change the way we talk to them or the way we approach a situation so that that is a successful interaction, and there's less, you're not escalating a situation to make it worse. And last, we do provide respite care for clients. We provide up to 24 hours a month of respite care. So it's a few days a month, depending on how you set it up with the agencies. We do struggle to find caregivers at times for this, but when we do have caregivers who can provide respite care, it is a great way for you to have some help in there, someone to share the tasks with, and a great way for you to have time to see the doctor, do things you want to do. A lot of those things we've talked about kind of gives you that opportunity to do that. When we talk about respite care with people, sometimes they don't even know what they are going to do with their time because it's been so long since they've had any time, but we know they'll think of something. The respite is the only service that we charge for. It's on a sliding scale. A lot of our clients don't pay anything. If you do want to know kind of whether or not you would have a cost, just give us a call. We'll kind of give you maybe a quick rundown of whether we think you will or not. But that's something that you talk with the case manager about and determine if it's a good fit or if it's something that you want to do. But the sliding scale is pretty generous, and like I said, a lot of our clients don't pay anything. All the other services that we talked about, we authorize up to $500 per year in addition to the respite services. So that's kind of our max service limit of what we have to offer for those other services. And yeah, let me see what else I have. Oh, I did want to add this slide because if you just, you're not ready to have someone come in, you really are looking at ideas of ways to get some help in there. These are some ways that we've had clients, and we learn a lot from our clients, and these are all things that people have used to help. The one on the top with the screen is something that one of my clients have used, and her kids call her every night. She takes her medicine on the screen. They can watch her take them, and they say goodnight and they talk, whatever, and they wrap up. And for the woman, she still gets to live by herself. She's in her 90s, and the kids don't have to drive all the way over and check on her. They can see that she's okay. And it's a really great way for them to connect, kind of make sure she's all right, and still, let her be by herself and have that own sense of independence. There's a Ring camera that you could put. I mean, that's specific to, I think, people who maybe live far away, or you're worried about them maybe wandering. The machine on the bottom is a medication dispenser that helps people manage their own meds. And the last guy on the right, this cute dog, we call these furry friends, and he's actually a robotic pet. This is great for people who love animals but just cannot take care of them. We do have funds that we can purchase these. They're actually on Amazon, but we do have money we can spend on these as well. And it's a really, they did studies on these, and they're really great to reduce isolation. A lot of people with dementia, their behavior got a lot better. It's just a really great element to bring when someone just really wants a companion. And the dog, like his head moves when he hears noise, and it's just really fun. So we've had a lot of great success with those so far. So that is all, and I'd love to hear your questions.
All right, thanks so much, Kelsey. We don't have any questions coming in on Facebook just yet, but I do have a couple questions myself.
Great.
Can you talk a little bit more about the eligibility for getting involved with the Family Caregiver Support Program?
Yes, definitely. So we have a few levels of service that we can provide to you. Level one is kind of a one-time purchase of a piece of equipment, and you kind of consult with us, and then we kind of close it out. The second one, we have you fill out a screening about your stress and burdens, and if you meet a certain criteria for that, then we do a full assessment, and that's when you are eligible for respite services. There's no cost for any of the service except for respite, which I talked about, the sliding scale. But really the driving factor of the eligibility is filling out a lot of these documents and answering a lot of our questions. And we try to make it as harmless as possible, but it's, 2 pages of questions. We're just trying to get a baseline of where you're at. We talk about, your burden, your stress, your depression, how well you're sleeping, just to kind of get a baseline. And the idea is that over time, if we're providing services to you, that things will get a little bit better and we can measure that. So that's the different levels of our program.
Great, thanks. And I think we have a question come in about that. Patricia is wondering, is the sliding scale for respite care the client or the caregiver?
That's a great question. It's hard to explain on a slide, so I'm glad you asked, so I can just have time to explain it. The person who's receiving the care, so not the caregiver, we base that off their income. If you are married to that person as a caregiver, then we count both your incomes, and there's a different scale we would use. So if you're a spouse taking care of a spouse, it's both your incomes, but if it's like an adult child caring for a parent, we would only count your parent's income.
Okay.
And the other thing, sorry, Julie, I wanted to add that the resource limit, so that's kind of a different way that we would look at your financial situation. We actually don't count resources towards this, so it's just your monthly income.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's see. I had a question about the caregiver training and education. Do you ever go out into the community and do that for, say, a caregiver support group?
We have in the past, prior to the pandemic, we would try to help facilitate some support groups or provide some material for some dialogue. And some of the training that we've done, a lot of it is around dementia. And we do have a couple other modules and training sessions that we've utilized, but we have not since COVID brought those back. But we are having conversations about trying to get those back in person, or at least in some form for people to access.
Okay, great, thank you. I think that's all the questions for Facebook right now. But I did want to thank you again for your time. I think this information is very relevant, especially to our community. I know there's a lot of caregivers out there. And just one shameless plug while I'm on here. The Mustard Seed Project is starting a caregiver support group that will be starting this fall, September 19th. It's going to be in person as well as virtual. So you can come to the Mustard Seed office at 1 o'clock, or you can sign in onto a Zoom call, and everyone is welcome, anyone caregiving in any capacity. It's not a specific group, it's very general. We want to support all caregivers on the Key Peninsula.
I do have a quick question. I'm sorry, I was slow and I was on mute. Would you say that the ADRC program or protocol is similar throughout the country? Could we expect some of the same things in Iowa as we do here, do you think?
That's a great question. There is, I mean, specifically in Iowa, I do not know. But every state handles their long-term care system differently.
Okay.
This program is a program that's facilitated for us through the Department of Social and Health Services, which is who also administers a lot of the other long-term care services that are provided in Washington State. I was just talking with our director recently, and he mentioned that in a different, I forget where he said, they didn't have any type of family caregiver program. And so I don't know what to expect in every state. So I think Washington does a really great job. I mean, I think it's really a vital program for someone who's providing an unpaid service to Washington residents. You know, that is so invaluable to us for the work that is done, that it's just such a great idea to support those people. So if they don't, they should.
Yeah, I was looking it up while you were talking to try to steer my friend. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you again, Kelsey. We really appreciate you taking the time to do this community forum with us. And coming up next on August 11th, we have Kim Peterson, who is also with Pierce County Human Services. And Kim is going to be talking about Medicaid in-home services. Some of those include Community First Choice, COPES, PACE, and New Freedom. So be sure to join us again on Facebook Live on August 11 at 1 o'clock. And thank you again so much to Kelsey.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Kelsey.
All right, we are done on Facebook. Great, that was awesome, Kelsey. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I hope that it was relevant, especially with your group starting. And I hope that you'll let us know how that goes, because we've tried to spearhead some of our own, and it's just, I don't know, it takes a lot of bandwidth to do it, and somebody to really keep tabs on the whole project. And we really dropped it when COVID started. So I hope it goes well.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. We had a specific dementia and Alzheimer's support group before COVID, I want to say 2+ years ago. And so we're kind of trying to start that up again, but keeping it more general just for caregivers everywhere.
Mhm.
And we want to have it sort of like the first half an hour will be sort of educational and the second half hour will be like a support group. So each meeting will have a different topic. So if you're interested, we'd love to have you come be like a guest speaker, if that's something you'd ever be able to do in the future.
Yeah, I think we could make that work. I know we do have, I think we could probably, I don't know if we would loan them to you. I'd have to ask our director, but we have a lot of books around caregiving that might, give you guys some ideas. But yeah, we can connect and talk about that. I'd be happy to come and, spend a day with you guys over there. That's not a problem.
Great, that would be wonderful. I will be in touch about that.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, thank you again.
All right, see you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.